Johnny's Bite.
Johnny's Bite. Johnny's Bite on Sunrise.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Hasbanallahu wa ni'mal wakil. The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? And yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows, and surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Johnny's Bite. It's Wednesday morning. Today is Okragbi, or Akrada, the president and I. And yesterday, as I monitored proceedings from the Alajo area, you know, those of us who have lived in Accra for so long, you know, Alajo, a suburb of Accra, you are not unable to play football and to move around easily when it rains. But Robert Coleman and his Wembley Sports have put together a very, very beautiful AstroTurf, which was yesterday outdoored by the President of the Republic, Lord Jerry Ahmed Swibe. They were there. Queen Mensa AstroTurf at Alajo. Beautiful edifice, if you ask me. You had all the creme de la creme there. Beautiful one. You know, when you do it and it's nice, we'll talk about it. If it's not nice, we'll talk about it as well. So congrats to Robert Coleman and Wembley and all the guys out there. And as Robert will always say, Manyama Fe etamo in Lefimo. So this morning, they have once again shown that Manyama Fe etamo in Lefimo. But this morning, I also want to remind you of our ongoing campaign, because we're going to the Senior Correctional Center. The Senior Correctional Center at the Roman Ridge area for the Power of Three campaign. The Power of Three campaign. And the number to send your Momo and support to is 059-743310. 059-743310 is the Power of Three campaign. Please reference it P3. So 059-744-33110. 059-744-33110. Send any amount with the number 3 in it, because we're trying to put smiles on the face of the inmates. We're trying to refurbish some of the places, and we're trying to also let them feel the essence of Easter. Having said that, yesterday I spoke to you about the Ashanti Regional Minister. And I spoke to you about something that was happening in the Ashanti region, and our school feeding caterers were up in arms and asking for what is owed them over 3 terms. So this morning I titled my bite, Stop Majoring in the Minors. Stop majoring in the minors. This morning, that's what I've titled my thing. You see, yesterday I played a video for you. Unfortunately, it didn't come up. Played a video of 24 January 2017 when Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was appointing Mr. Regional Minister. All right? Play that video for me.
The region which is at the heart, head and the heart of the new patriotic party.
Kill the sound. Pause. Don't leave it there. Don't take it off. Look at the demeanor of the minister when he was being appointed on the 24th of January 2017. Look at his demeanor. No, put it up there. Look at his demeanor. 2017, his hands behind his back. 2017, the president said he was a giant in communication for the party in the region. He called him the elephant in the room. He said he was the most fit gentleman to handle it. And I told you yesterday, I wouldn't take away what he did at Bosomchi from him. I wouldn't take away his private life and his credentials from him. But when it comes to dealing with the issues that are majors for us, we cannot major in the minors. Now, take me back to yesterday when the caterers met him. Play that video for me. He was snubbing the people. Look, pause. This was him, go back a bit. This was him standing on top like a modern day King Pharaoh, looking down and talking down at the people. This was the same gentleman who has his hand behind him. Oh. Same gentleman who, bring it back. Pause where he was looking down at the people. I want the people to see that. Standing on top and it's coming down, looking down and talking down at the people and stopping the thought and get out. Have you come to me before? Now, what he seems to forget is that the people came to him, first of all, as the father of the nation. Yesterday, I spoke with one of the caterers. She spoke impeccable English. Her thought patterns were so good, and you could clearly see the frustration. You could tell from where I sat here yesterday on 3FM 92.7.
Johnny's Bite.
Now, the minister gives a rejoinder, or if you like, a rebuttal or a response. Play that video for me, please. The minister's response. Play it.
I was in a meeting when I heard some nice eyesight in my office. So I sent my special assistant to find out. She came back and informed me that caterers on school feeding were there demonstrating. So I came out and then asked them, one, have they ever come to me? And why are they demonstrating before they come to me with their issues? Two, they did not even go to the police to inform them that they were going to demonstrate. So when they entered, if the security at the Regional Coordinating Council had reacted and maybe attacked them, what would have been the results? I think this country, we must be truthful to ourselves. We must be truthful to ourselves and start pampering people. The impunity is too much. I sympathize with them. I would not be happy for the government to owe me for maybe months when maybe I've borrowed and interest is accruing and maybe I cannot even feed my family. But we should not use illegality to solve problems. We should solve our problems through the legal means. In this country, if you want to demonstrate, you go and inform the police before you embark on demonstration. You don't just get out and start demonstrating. We are not in a lawless country. We are in a country being governed by law. That is why we say we are in a democratic dispensation. So you don't just take the law into your hand and start maybe acting the way you want. No, I don't tolerate those things. Oh, whether I'm angry or I'm not angry, I'm saying I don't tolerate illegality, period. And I will never tolerate illegality.
That is our Ashanti Regional Minister, who we have a V8 for, we have a bodyguard for, we have a residence for, we buy fuel for, and many other things. Father Bernard, good morning to you. You are talking about people being overpampered. If there's anybody who is overpampered in this government, it is you. We remember Ejura.
Johnny's Bite.
Were the women demonstrating? No, they were picketing. And that's why I've always said that when we went to make people regional ministers and make them the head of the Security Council, we must check their security background and check their temperament. We remember Ejura on your head. You're talking about pampering. You're talking about illegality. You're talking about people, how painful it is. This explanation that you're giving and the sympathy talk that you were saying that you sympathize with the people and all of that, you could have come down from that high horse. Show that again, the video where he was standing at the top. You could have come down from that high horse with that Napoleon phenomenon. You could have come down from that high horse and actually come down to them to even receive the petition that they presented. You didn't. You snubbed them. Now, let's get to the issues, because now you are majoring the minors. You are talking about Public Order Act. Leave that for the police. You are talking about giving the police notice before you demonstrate. They were not demonstrating. They had come there to present a petition. You said you heard some noises. These are the very same people the president thought you could lead in the region, and that you were actually supposed to be leading, that they came to you as the father of the region. And it is because they are reaching the responsible ministry in Accra, the gender ministry, has not been responsible enough.
Johnny's Bite.
They say when Otiko Jaba was minister for gender, they didn't face these things. Otiko Jaba goes away, then they started facing this trouble. They told me here on 3FM 92.7 that when Otiko Jaba was there, they didn't face this. And that Otiko would say, oh, I owe you 55 days out of the term. I can pay you 40 at this point. And she pays en block. And then we will have the 15 when the money is ready. These women have been owed for 3 solid terms. They have not been paid. Recently, some 6 districts were paid. And then later, when their debtors started insulting them, we started paying the rest of them. So the women are going through embarrassment. The women are going through frustration. The people they employ are going through the same levels of frustration, perhaps even harsher. And all you are concerned about is about a certain public order act. It's about whether or not the people have come to you before, and whether or not the people even had a petition, and whether they had the right to even present a petition to you. Hey, Father Bernard. Now, there is even budgetary allocation for this year for school feeding. The government will always come and tout and say, look, we are feeding children in school. We know the essence of nutrition and education. And I always drop my hat out for the late Dr. Makutufo. I will always do that. Because the thinking was that you need to sustain and keep the children in school, because most of the children, when they leave school and they say they are going to have lunch, they go and they never return. Some actually go looking for food before they come, even though the quality of the food is not good. Now, what were the women asking for? The women are asking that you pay the arrears. The women are asking that you raise the pittance of 97 pesos. You are not even ashamed to be owing 97 pesos over a full year. They say raise it from 97 pesos to 3 Ghana cedis and share the hashtag. We are there. We are doing 2.4K today on Johnny's Bite. Share the link. Let them know. The women are asking that the children must be taken care of. You as regional minister are not even concerned that children started the term Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They have not had food. You are not even majoring in that. You are minoring. That the children in your region, as security couple of the region, the children have not had food. You are not concerned. You are not concerned that these party faithful, whether we like it or not, and whether we want to pretend, these caterers are party faithful, and that they will be the ones you go to go and help to break the 8. You are not concerned about that. You are not even concerned about the embarrassment. You are not concerned that you are sitting in a chair and they are referring to another regime as having done better. You are not even concerned. You are not concerned about the security concerns. You are not. Rather, you are telling the people that have they come to you before? They knew that the school feeding secretariat was not answering them. They knew that the region, their sector ministry was not answering them. So they are coming to you as the father of the region to be able to channel it directly to the president as his representative in the region. The women are wise. They could have hit the streets. They didn't. They came to the regional coordinating council. Now, what is your job as a coordinating council? You're supposed to coordinate. Did you coordinate, or did you choose to stand at the top like a modern day pharaoh to talk down at the people and look down on them? Did you decide to snub them and walk out?
Johnny's Bite.
These are women who are responsible. These are mothers. These are wives of people. I want you to put your wife in their shoes. Your wife. Please put your wife in their shoes. And tell me, if your wife had made supplies to people and for more than a year they had not been paid, would you be happy with yourself?
Johnny's Bite.
Sometimes I think that with the benefit of power, we go astray. I showed a video of you by the president with your hand at your back. Same way the president had his hand at his back when Kamala Harris was signing whatever it is. For the first time, somebody sat in the king's chair. For the first time, somebody sat in the king's white chair. But it is Ahubrasia until we cash out. This is not a good sign. And we're talking about people who have been pampered, people who have been favored, people who have been lawless. Sir, you have no moral right to talk about that. Pay the women their monies. Feed the children. Major in the things that have to be majored in. That is what is important. Good morning.
Hard as he can.
Okay.
And of course, when he puts his fangs into you, you certainly feel it. I think it pretty.
Watch Johnny's Bite.
Johnny's Bite on Sunrise.
Busy on this frequency, 92.7, 3 FM.
Good morning and welcome to the Business News on Sunrise. I'm Sani Abdurrahman. Coming up, panelists at the maiden edition of the 3 Business Sustainability Summit held in Accra warned citizens to demand more accountability from their political leaders.
When leaders fail and followers did not check them, it gives the leaders too much comfort.
We need a national consensus on our economic strategy, and we must demand that from our governments.
Also, participants want governments to grow the private sector with enabling policies.
If you look at the tax environment alone, it's not enabling. It's not conducive for private sector to actually grow.
A lot of governance challenges, procurement, institutional efficiency.
Plus, businesses want government not to sacrifice their survival over the IMF bailouts.
Businesses are saddled with numerous taxes in various forms and now very unbearable.
We have these and many more all in the next 10 minutes. Don't go away. Many thanks for your time this morning. My name is Sani Abdurrahman once again. Well, panelists at the maiden edition of the Three Business Economic Sustainability Summit say the country needs a rethink to tackle the perennial economic crisis that often requires a bailout from the International Monetary Fund. They observed a lack of planning for emergencies and overspending as the problem causing the perennial economic crisis. There is more in the following reports.
The Three Business Economic Sustainability Summit, which was in association with Africa Center for Energy Policy and Imani Africa, was to generate a consensus on an effective long-term sustainable debt management structure. It was also to generate a consensus on a pathway for managing the impact of the debt restructuring program on the economy. The executive chairman of law firm AB and David Ufusu-Dote, said intervention programs by successive governments have largely served politicians' parochial interests rather than providing meaningful relief to the people.
When leaders fail and we blame followers did not check them, it gives the leaders too much comfort. We ought to re-examine our mindset. I once actually tweeted something about the fact that where you have state-owned enterprises not doing well in the public sector, and we privatize them and they equally collapsed, the elite must re-examine their mindset. There is something wrong with our mindset. We actually stopped thinking long ago in this nation.
The executive chairman of Cleve and Tobe, Senyo Hosi, has urged citizens to be responsible for their socio-economic development by holding politicians to account. He said the silence of the masses has allowed state actors to get away with almost everything, and that is why the economic challenges keep recurring. Senyo Hosi urged all stakeholders to track government behavior when it comes to revenue utilization.
For us to transform this economy, we need to have a collective economic agenda, something that's missing in Ghana. Who knows our strategy out of our economic challenges today? Who knows what the plan is? You see, and these are educated people. We don't know. You need to communicate down, and then we need a national consensus on our economic strategy. And we must demand that from our governments. So whether it's NDC or it's MPP, this is the agenda for transformation. You must prosecute it and deliver it.
The Economic Sustainability Summit, a collaboration between Three Business, Africa Center for Energy Policy and Imani Africa, was under the theme Ghana's Debt Crisis, Striking the Balance Between Economic Growth and Fiscal Responsibility.
Meanwhile, experts at the summit want government to use the tax policy to grow the private sector in order to create an enabling environment. They were reacting to the revenue bills that were recently passed in Parliament.
We talk more about the private sector being the engine of growth and do exactly the opposite. 2023, we have increased the VAT rates. So if you look at the tax environment alone, it's not enabling. It's not conducive for private sector to actually grow. And actually, if we continue like this, increasingly companies will relocate to neighboring countries like Cote d'Ivoire, right, and the rest of them.
At the critical time we are in recession, it's not the time to introduce new taxes that will hurt businesses. It's time to introduce policies that will spare production, increase productivity, allow more people to get opportunity to work. Remember, IMF is going to restrict net employment. So if the restrictions come, our only hope of jobs for our people is the private sector.
They want the citizenry to hold policymakers more accountable on their performance.
This should become something like a blueprint for common sense talk and common sense conversations, not just the hard data as was presented, but you also witness the lively conversations, the panel conversation that essentially spoke about the data that has been presented. And I think that marriage between data and what I call common sense economics is what we need in our lives almost every day.
It was a really good meeting, trying to highlight some of the governance issues that we need to address beyond an IMF program. And it is clear that if we don't change our ways, IMF program will not solve our problems. Even before we exited the last program, we were deemed unsustainable, where the risk of debt distress was still high. And tracking it, we see a lot of governance challenges, procurement, institutional efficiency, to be able to deal with these things. We have to hold leadership accountable.
The Three Business Economic Sustainability Summit is on the theme Ghana's debt crisis, striking the balance between economic growth and fiscal responsibility.
We still stay well on the economy because the Ghana Joint Business Consultative Forum has warned government not to sacrifice the survival and development of the private sector for the sake of an IMF bailout. It insists the business community is already overburdened with taxes and further taxes will have rippling effect on businesses and the consuming public. Dr. Joseph Obin is the coordinator of the Ghana Joint Business Consultative Forum.
Due to the high cost of doing business in the country, traffic at the Tema port has drastically reduced, and any further cost will worsen the situation. Our capital has deeply been eroded and continues to erode by the effects of the depreciation of the cedi against the major trading currencies, especially the dollar, during the last quarter of 2022. Businesses are saddled with numerous taxes in various forms and now very unbearable. Overtaxation impedes the growth of business and productivity. We have become very uncompetitive in cross-border trade in the sub-regional bloc and becoming irrelevant in the scheme of affairs of the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Dr. Joseph Obin is also president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA. Now, former Finance Minister Seth Terkper says despite attempts to restructure the country's debt, it is important for the government to be cautious in its borrowing going forward. Speaking in an exclusive interview with 3 Business, Seth Terkper said the huge areas that have saddled the country's finances need to be adequately catered for in order to avoid another round of a debt crisis.
There is a government report called the Public Expenditure Performance Report, or Expenditure, Review Performance Report, which, was published, which shows that we are sitting on a pipeline, which includes contracts that have been awarded, some of which are strictly not arrears, of 77 billion, out of which 24 billion has been paid, as at the end of 2021. We are saying that our scrutiny of the fiscal numbers in the budget does not seem to suggest that we are making adequate provision to clear them within the 3 years of the IMF program. That's the point we are making. Now, if we are not making adequate provision, then remember what I said. It means that we may not be adding adequately to the cash deficit, and it may come to haunt us as it has haunted us once already.
Seth Terkper is former finance minister, ending the business news this morning. My name is Sani Abdurrahman. As we go Panelists at the just ended Three Business Economic Sustainability Summit want government to have a rethink of its economic approach as it has only left the country with huge debts. We'll bring you more reactions from the summits at 12:30 and, of course, at 4:30 on Biz Brief. Do make a day with us. Sports is next. Stay with me.
Accra gets busy.
Hello, good morning and welcome to Sunrise Sports on 3FM 92.7. Kindly join us on Facebook on 3FM 92.7. Let's delve into the latest in the world of sports, starting from the Accra Human Rights Court. And then on Tuesday, they delivered their judgment in the contempt case brought by Ashanti Gold SC against the Ghana Football Association and the 12 Executive Council members, the General Secretary, and Sheikh Tawfiq Abdul Kader Sieno. The court held that the GFA and its officials were not served with the injunction order of court and hence not in contempt of the court. Now, the court further held, however, that Prosper Harrison Addo in his personal capacity and Sheikh Tawfiq were liable for comments made in interviews on Facebook, respectively. The court therefore sentenced Prosper Harrison Addo for a day imprisonment and a fine of 24,000 Ghana cedis, while Sheikh Tawfiq was also sentenced for a day imprisonment and fine 12,000 Ghana cedis, and in default, 14 days imprisonment in both cases. A day's imprisonment means that the sentence is served once the fines are paid and the presiding judge ends the sitting for the day. So that is the latest with the Ghana Football Association and Sheikh Abdul Tawfiq Sieno Kader, who was also part of it. Now to the outstanding Ghana Premier League match this evening at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium, and it's a Asante Kotoko against Ken Faisal at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium. Game begins at 7 p.m. Interim head coach for the Porcupines, Abdullahi Ghazaleh, has spoken about the game and what he intends achieving.
Well, we're picking the matches one after the other. And like you said, we're not going to joke with that particular match because whilst we are playing, we are looking at the league table. Currently, we will come to 5th place. And definitely, if you are able to win that particular match, we may shoot up to either the 2nd position or the 3rd position. So it's also a must-win match for us. We'll go into the match with the necessary approach in order to get that particular 3 maximum points. Congratulations again. Thank you very much.
So that is from Abdullahi Ghazaleh. Moving on to some awards that will be presented in the Ghana Premier League. Kotoko Royals, who are battling to escape relegation, have received a massive boost with 3 of the outstanding players nominated for the Player of the Month award in the Ghana Premier League. Andy Kume, the striker, Richard Diko, the midfielder, and Collins Kofi Kojo, the forward, have all been nominated for the award. Other nominees include Tamale City's Samson Eduku and Accra Lions youngster Dominic Amponsa. Also, 3 coaches have also received nominations for the NASCO Coach of the Month award, and these are the coaches as you can see on Facebook Live. So you can see the results in there. The players: Dominic Amponsa, 6 matches, 4 goals. Andy Kume has recorded 4 goals in 6 matches. Richard Dziko has 6 matches, but he scored 3 goals, and then 3 goals for Samson Eduku in 5 matches. Collins Kofi Kojo has 5 matches played, and then he scored 3 goals from that. Now let's take a look at the coaches in there for the outstanding coaches for the month. Then Bechim United's Okanse Mengo Kasim has received another nomination and is contending. That is John Eduafo and Evans Adote. Evans Adote has 6 matches, 4 wins, 1 draw, and a loss. John Eduafo of Kotoko Royals has 3 wins from 6 matches. He recorded 0 draws and lost 3. Kasim Mengo Okanse had 3 wins from 6, drew 1, and had 2 losses. So these are the results for the coach of the month. The winner is expected to be announced in the next edition of the GFA News program on Friday. Now moving away from this, let's take a look at crowd violence. And we all know recently on Monday, Aduana FC were punished for their violence at the Nana Ajaman Bedu Park in Doman. Ore Kwampofu believes that the Ghana Football Association has not done enough to curb violence at the various match venues.
If something of this ilk, happens in Doma, they would be deducted 20 points. They would do a lot more. But this is the case where the worst that we've seen is they have to maybe pay a fine, and maybe sometimes the fans get some form of punishment. And there was even a time where we had some hooliganism up in the north, and they decided that team would not play at that ground again. After they went to abuse and violence, the outcome was that Team A has to change their venue to accommodate all that's happening. It's almost like you're empowering the fans with some of these decisions, and you're saying that, hey, you can go ahead and do it because there's nothing really going to happen to you. And I feel that in the end, it's tarnishing Ghana football, and we are all going to get affected because time and time again, stuff like betting, hooliganism, violence, you struggled almost 3-4 years before you got a headline sponsor. How do you think Betfair will be feeling right now at the moment? With their flagship product,
bad PR,
all these images are going to be flying around social media, and it's just not necessary. Because if Ghana football does well, it spreads out through the whole ecosystem and everyone benefits. But here's the case where we're just years behind everyone.
Yes, behind everyone there, according to Ore Kwampofu. We just hope that things get better. Now, moving away from that, Chelsea wasted a lot of chances as Liverpool held them to a goalless draw on Tuesday in the first Premier League match since Graham Potter's sacking. Chelsea currently remain 11th in the English Premier League. Liverpool, however, are placed 8th and are 7 points behind 4th place Tottenham in the race to qualify for the Champions League. Jurgen Klopp has admitted that Liverpool's hope of finishing in the top 4 are fading and suggested the side needs to win pretty much all the games.
For that, we must win pretty much all the games, and the other teams above us must lose a lot of games. So that's not in our hands. I cannot say. What can I say about that? But it's not important. If we would be only motivated on the highest level, if somebody tells us, we have a chance for top 4, then if we are not 4th, then we will be. Then I want to be 5th. If we are not 5th, then we want to be 6th. So that's what I want to be. And for that, we have to win football games, because at the moment I don't even know where we are exactly. 8, 7, 9. I don't know. It's not interesting. We have another 10 games. To play, and the next one is Arsenal. Not the other 9 I'm not interested in, but the next one is Arsenal. So if we are difficult to beat against Arsenal, we can win this game. If not, Arsenal will just go over us.
So that is it there from Jurgen Klopp. It wasn't an easy game yesterday, but one of the most disappointing ones. Well, this evening, Manchester United will be playing against Brentford, and the head coach Erik ten Hag has spoken about his side not being able to win any Premier League game since winning the Carabao Cup.
We played 60 minutes against Southampton with 10 men. We beat Fulham. That's a Premier League opponent. We beat Newcastle in the Carabao Cup. It's a Premier League opponent. So, so no concern. We know we can beat Premier League teams.
So that is the concern. They hope that they can beat Premier League teams. Well, now moving away from Erik ten Hag. Well, Pablo Ibanez's superb volley helped Osasuna to stand Athletic Bilbao in extra time to reach the Copa del Rey final with a 1-0 draw on Tuesday, progressing 2-1 on aggregate. Athletic dominated throughout, and only a sensational display from Osasuna goalkeeper Sergio Herrera and profligate finishing forced the match to end in extra time. For the first time since October 2022, Ghana forward Iñaki Williams managed to score a goal. He stuck his ball in the net in the 33rd minute to cancel out as Abedi's first leg strike for Osasuna, but Osasuna had other ideas with just 4 minutes to end the game to shock Bilbao at the San Mamés. Well, we expect another big game this evening, another El Clasico at the Nou Camp, and it's Barcelona against Real Madrid in the second semi-final this evening. Barca have a 1-0 advantage in the particular game. So expecting another blockbuster this evening. Barca have been very dominant in the last couple of games. Now moving on to Italy, and Romelu Lukaku netted a last gap leveler in Internazionale's dramatic 1-0 draw at Juventus on Tuesday, which left the Italian Cup semi-final all square. After the first leg, João Cuadrado scored the opener before Lukaku rolled in from the penalty spot to give Inter a draw going into the second leg later this month. While João Cuadrado and Inter goalkeeper Samir Handanovic were both sent off following the final whistle after a scuffle which continues as the teams went into the tunnel at the Allianz Arena. Now, today, struggling Cremonese will try to reach what will be a shock cup final spot when they host inform Fiorentina. Now moving on to Germany, it wasn't a pleasant scene for FC Bayern Munich. One of the games they feared that Sacco Julian Nagelsmann may have lost was lost by their new boss Thomas Tuchel. A late spot kick awarded Freiburg in the 2-1 win at Bayern Munich, their first under coach Christian Streich in Munich, and secure them a spot in the German Cup semi-final. So Bayern, another disappointing game for them, and they managed to lose that game. Jamal Musiala, who was a substitute, had to be penalized for a handball in the box, and Lucas Hola, who got the goal in the 27th minute, managed to keep it cool to help them qualify for a second consecutive semi-final when they were defeated by RB Leipzig for the final last year. So very disappointed there from FC Bayern Munich. And some bets more on Amir Khan, and he has been given a 2-year ban from all sports after he tested positive for a banned substance following his fight with Kell Brook last year, but he has denied any wrongdoing.
I've never cheated in my life. I'm the one who wanted the testing on the fight, and also the amount that it was, the amount that was in my system could have been by shaking people's hands, and it was a debut.
How does a bodybuilding drug get into your system? That is the question, isn't it?
I don't know what drug was in my system.
Ostarine.
So, and at the same time, I'll be in touch. I'm gonna give my views anyway. But like I said, I've never cheated in my life. I will never cheat. And like I said, I am a retired fighter, so I've got a 2-year ban now, which is quite strange and funny that they banned me. I'm already retired anyway.
So no comeback plans then, clearly.
No comeback plans at all. But like I said, I've never cheated and I never will, and that's just not something I would do.
So that is it there from America. Now back to football, and a shot in time. Ronaldo had the world at his feet. He was the kid from Rio who became Europe's darling. Ronaldo moved from his native Brazil to Europe after the 1994 World Cup. He started for PSV Eindhoven for 2 seasons before joining Barcelona. The teenage sensation became known as O Fenomeno back home by the man behind the revelation of Ronaldo, who became World Footballer of the Year in 2002, as Frank Anderson. He spoke about how they managed to pull up that transfer.
Players, and I had a list of players because our scouts have been there in '94. So I look about this guy, and there was Ronaldo. There were so many good players on the list, Rivaldo, and name it now. Ronaldo, he was. We have seen him on tape, and we saw him, our scouts, and so I was watching him. And then they said he has signed a contract for Inter Milan. So I said, okay, we can get him. It was in January. Then I went down again in March, and then I heard, no, it's fake. Doesn't, so he's still in the market. And he was only 17 years old, and he was a fantastic player, playing for Crusaders, which is a big club in Belo Horizonte. And end of the day, we negotiate with his manager and his partners, you can say, that was entitled for 55% of the player, together with Ronaldo. And it was amazing. So we agreed with him that after World Championships was over, and he will come, and he should come to us.
Interesting there. Now moving on to some tennis news, and Rafa Nadal will miss next week's Monte Carlo Masters, having failed to recover from an injury that has sidelined him 4 months. His absence from competitions means Nadal had his days ago dropped 4 places to 13th in the rankings, ending his record 912-week stay inside the top 10. The Spaniard, who has won the Monte Carlo 11 times in his career, still hopes to be fit for the French Open in May, a clay court tournament he has dominated for years, having won there 14 times. Well, Carlos Alcaraz is also going to miss that particular tournament. Now let's move on to Tour du Ghana, and Richard Atta, 37-year-old Ghanaian, is hoping to make an impact despite his challenges. Atta lost his left arm in 2001 following a ghastly accident and has been living in a kiosk at Ofankor for almost a decade. He wasn't always a cyclist. He worked as an auto electrician in the late 90s, but after losing his arm and a job, he has been forced to pursue a different career.
After my arm was amputated, the trotro mates and drivers thought I didn't have money. So I used to go for regular checkup at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. And when I tried to take a trotro, the mates tell me that there are no empty seats, while there were always seats in the bus. I used to cry a lot. And so when I came home, I bought a bicycle, and eventually I became happy using it.
So that is Atta there, but Atta trains on a very, very dangerous street in Accra on a daily basis, confidently rubbing shoulders with different vehicles. His rigorous training regime has helped him travel long distances with his trusty bicycle. A notable one was from Accra to Koforidua and back to Accra, a 154.8 kilometers journey.
Okay, long journeys, Accra to Ho was one long journey I took. I go to Koforidua and return. I go to Akosombo and return. But Accra to Ho was a long one. I have done 160 kilometers in journey time before. I've even done 240 kilometers. I did that with the whites.
Well, very interesting there from Atta. Now, Atta competed in the 3FM Tour du Ghana competition last year, a 2-day event held for professional and amateur cyclists. He went up against 119 cyclists and earned huge praise for his resilience despite falling short of the ultimate. Well, you can find Atta now on our Facebook stream, 3FM 92.7. How, with this challenge of losing his arm, he is able to rub shoulders with the big people in there. Well, he hopes that this time around, Tour du Ghana, he gets better.
Won the 2022
A Nigerian woman helped me to compete at the Tour du Ghana event last year. She asked me if I could do it, and I said yes. She promised to register me, and I thanked her. So she did the registration for me. When we were about to start the event, I woke up early and met her at Itequashi. She used her car to take me to the starting point.
A notable one was from Accra to Koforidua.
Very interesting then. If you can join us on our stream on 3FM 92.7, you can see Atta there on, and he's expecting to participate in the Tour du Ghana event, which returns on the 20th and 21st of May this year. Very, very determined soul in there. Despite without his arm, he hopes to get the very best of the things that will come his way. That will be all for sports on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. My name is Calvin Oswansa. This evening on GPL Express on TV3, we'll bring you the very best. But Johnny Hughes, William Esiedo, Helena Piampofo, DJ Phil, and the rest of the team, make sure you are served the sweetest breakfast every morning in Accra. And this morning is no exception. Stay with us.